Have you ever just stopped and considered how much of the actual physical universe you're entirely missing out on? Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to fundamentally challenge your perception of reality here. We're seamlessly bridging ancient Eastern philosophy with modern quantum mechanics and structural biology, drawing on this incredibly profound text from Shu to Shi, a generative model across philosophy and science. We're going to see how disciplines separated by literally thousands of years are actually describing the exact same mechanics of the universe. It's wild! Here's our map for today. First, we'll hit the limits of perception. Then, Zhu and Shi, possibility to reality. After that, a philosophical intersection. And finally, upstream, life and entropy. Let's get right into it. Section 1. Limits of perception, the invisible reality. Okay, so before we can really talk about how reality is generated, we have to admit just how restricted our own biological hardware actually is. I mean, think about it. Our visual spectrum only covers this tiny sliver. We're talking just 350 to 700 nanometers of visible light. And our auditory range, it's strictly capped between 20 and 20,000 hertz. Everything outside those narrow little bandwidths is completely imperceptible to us, yet it is entirely 100% real. And honestly, this creates a massive baseline problem for us. Because everything we so confidently walk around calling reality, the physical objects, the sounds, the light, all of that makes up a measly 5% of what actually exists. That leaves a staggering 95% of the universe completely invisible and inaccessible to us. 95%. So how do we even begin to understand a universe where almost the entire thing is hidden from view? Moving to Section 2, Shu and Shi. From possibility to reality. Well, if 95% of reality is just invisible to us, we desperately need a new vocabulary for it, right? Long before we had modern scientific instruments, ancient Eastern thinkers were already modeling this massive, unmanifested realm. They called it Su. Now, it's absolutely crucial to understand that Su isn't just some empty, dead void. Actually, scratch that. It's the exact opposite. It represents unformed possibility. It is the vital spatial potential required for absolutely anything to exist, and it's filled with this continuous flowing energy mechanism known as qi. And then, on the flip side, we have Shi. Shi is the tangible structure. It's the resulting functional utility. Basically, the concrete, manifested reality that we can actually perceive in that tiny 5% biological window of ours. So, when a possibility finally collapses into a physical object that you can touch or see or measure, that's when it has become Shi. So what does this all mean? It means reality isn't just a collection of static, dead objects. It's actually this active, continuous process of manifestation. It always begins as unformed possibility and boundless space. That's Shu. Then it's driven by that energetic qi mechanism we mentioned. And finally, it crystallizes into a formed concrete structure, Shi. So creation is literally this ongoing flow from the invisible right into the visible. Which brings us to Section 3, Manifestation, a philosophical intersection. Okay, this is where things get truly mind-blowing, because you'll see how these ancient philosophies perfectly map on to modern empirical observation. On one side, you've got foundational Eastern texts, like the Tao Te Ching and Zhuangzi, outlining energy flow and structural generation. But on the other side, we have the absolute pillars of modern Western science, quantum mechanics, thermodynamics, and structural biology. And the crazy part is, these aren't competing theories at all. They're literally just two different languages describing the exact same universal mechanics. To translate this directly for you, the ancient Eastern concept of Shu is conceptually identical to quantum superposition. Think about quantum mechanics. Before a particle is actually observed, it just exists in this state of infinite, unformed possibilities, right? Just pure potential waiting to be realized. Well, that is exactly what Shu is. No difference. And then on the other side of the equation, Shi represents that concrete formed structure. In physics terms, this is the exact moment of wave function collapse. It's that precise second when that infinite potential we were just talking about is observed, measured, or interacts with its environment, and boom, it locks into a single, concrete structural reality. The invisible quantum probability has fully manifested into a tangible physical state. So the really crucial takeaway here is this. Both disciplines are examining the exact same intersection of reality. Philosophy is asking why this manifestation happens, exploring the deeper meaning behind this generative process. Meanwhile, science is asking how it structurally occurs, using math, equations, biological laws, the whole shebang. The act of manifestation, moving from su to she, from pure possibility to solid reality, is literally the exact intersection point where human wisdom and modern scientific discovery meet. All right, section 4, upstream, life and entropy. Now, to really understand what this means for human biology, we have to introduce the ultimate biological antagonist. According to the second law of thermodynamics, the universe's default background state is an inevitable, continuous increase in entropy. In plain English, that means if left alone, all systems naturally degrade from nice, orderly, functional structures into chaotic, random disorder. The universe inherently just wants to pull things apart. But as the Nobel Prize-winning physicist Erwin Schrödinger so famously outlined in his book, What is Life?, living organisms do something pretty incredible. He wrote that life is a mechanism that maintains its order by feeding on negative entropy. Meaning, life itself is this heroic, localized rebellion. We are literally a system fighting upstream against cosmic decay, constantly working every single second to maintain our physical order and structure against that universal tide of chaos. And we see the results of this structural battle against entropy everywhere in nature. Take biological aging, for instance. Aging is simply what happens when entropy slowly degrades our biological structure over time. Our orderly sheet just naturally begins to break down. On the flip side, the vast differences between species, those are just variations in how biological structures originally manifested from that realm of possibility in the first place. In the end, everything comes down to maintaining structure against the relentless flow of time. You know, this perfectly explains the logic behind traditional Chinese medicine's approach to human biology, which actually operates as this brilliant system regulation framework. When treating an illness, TCM diagnoses problems through this exact same lens. An unhealthy state of Qi means there's a concrete structural blockage or congestion somewhere in the body. An unhealthy state of Shu means there's a lack of necessary space or just insufficient functional energy. So the core rule here, bridging both modern structural biology and ancient medicine, is super simple. Maintaining biological order strictly equals maintaining structure. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a final, provocative thought based on everything we've covered today. If your biological senses are truly, honestly, only allowing you to perceive a mere 5% of reality, what other incredible, unseen possibilities are currently waiting out there in the boundless void of zoo, just ready to collapse and manifest into our structured world? Keep questioning the reality around you guys, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.